Hey everyone, I'm Megan with Meyer Hatchery, and we are here today with a chicken chat. Except we're not doing a chicken chat. I'm taking over. It is a duck discussion. We are going to be talking ducks today because I don't have any ducks, and I'm thinking I might want some. So I am digging into the two duck experts I know, which is Jess and Lauren. Hello, Jess and Lauren.
Hello.
Hey. Thanks for having us.
Good.
Thanks for letting me take over, Jess. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so February is Waterfowl month, where we dive into everything waterfowl. Except here on my farm, we have none. We have no ducks, no geese, nothing but chickens and goats and all the other homestead fun stuff. So I want to pick y'all's brain a little on the waterfowl topic. I'm not sold yet, not gonna lie. So I need to pick y'all's brains. First, I want to know what waterfowl you guys have.
All right. Well, I guess I'll go first.
Jump in.
All right. So we love ducks here on our farm, and we have a white crested duck. We have a runner duck. And last year we started raising call ducks. So we have a nice mix here. In the past, we've raised khaki Campbells. We've raised meat ducks. So we've raised the Duclairs. We've even had white Edden geese here on our farm.
Okay, and Lauren, what about you?
We have several breeds of ducks. They debatably are my favorite poultry, but we have silver appleyards, khaki Campbell, and magpies right now. But we've had Muscovy, Indian runners, and Cayuga in the past as well. And I really do want some geese.
Oh, now see, and I'm kind of on the fence between, do I want to just dive into geese or get some ducks? Okay, so now, Jess, you've had geese before, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so between the ducks and the geese, what's your favorite?
I still really like the ducks. Ducks are number one. Geese were a lot of fun. They definitely had a bit more of a mess than the ducks did because they're much bigger. It wasn't something that I was used to, I guess. I mean, we have like roosters and things like that, but they were so protective of each other and their area. So that was something I had to get used to. And they were big. I have a lot of bantams and smaller birds here. So they were fun. It was a really fun experience for us. And we actually rehome them with a friend that's up the road. So I actually see them when we drive past, and I can see them up there. It just didn't fit in our particular setup. But I do suggest, if you get a chance, to try them at least one time so you can get to know them. And they are characters. I have videos of them trying to like eat my boots and chase me around the yard and all kinds of stuff. So
I've seen a lot of videos online and stuff. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
so if you could both pick just one breed of ducks or waterfowl or whatever it is, which would you pick? Just the one breed. What is your one top favorite? Lauren, go.
Mine is the silver appleyards. Mine are super friendly. They're like decent size. They can't fly. They are decent foragers. We like them a lot.
Okay.
That's a good one.
What
The white crested duck. I really like them. They have lots of personality, and they're calm, and they're good layers, and I just really like them. And if I could put second place, I would put the runners because they are hilarious.
Okay, so I know that's sad, but I just like the runners because I like the way they look, the little
run.
Yeah.
Waddle, I guess.
Yeah.
Obviously, but what you say. Okay, so we've kind of all three chatted before, and Lauren from Georgia, Jess is in Ohio, and I'm in Texas. I am in West Texas, y'all, where there is very little water, like as in rain maybe once or twice a month. Water access is limited, if not nothing. So would I be okay to add ducks in without that aspect of water around?
Well, I think everybody has a little bit of a different setup when it comes to the waterfowl. Your ducks, especially, they don't actually need to go swimming. And I think a lot of people, that's like a misconception. They love swimming, but they don't have to. As long as they have a waterer that they can get their eyes and their bills and their nostrils in to flush everything out, then your ducks will be good to go. For us, our ducks do not like the pond. They have a big, beautiful pond, and they want nothing to do with it. They prefer their kiddie pool that they get, and they get it in the summer once a week, maybe twice if it's really hot. And in the winter, they don't get anything because it's so cold. So as long as you have proper water set up, I think your ducks would do really well. Lauren, how is your setup with your ducks?
We have a spring-fed creek, but the ducks actually don't go down there. I feel like, especially with like some breeds, like the silver appleyards super love the kiddie pool, which we do keep full year round. But like the Muscovy don't like swimming. And so like they actually would prefer kind of less swimming. But we keep the kiddie pool, and then we have that with waters too.
What were you saying, Jess?
Okay, on some of so like my white crested loves to swim when it's kiddie pool time, but only for like 5 minutes, which kind of cracks me up because it takes me forever to fill that pool, and they only go in there for 5 minutes. And she kicks anybody else that tries to go in. But my runner, she doesn't really like it either. I kind of think for my situation with the pond, there are like snapping turtles and things like that in there, and I kind of feel like sometimes the waterfowl knows that there's something bad in there. So I mean, it could be. I don't know. I didn't ask them, but I feel like that's one of the reasons why they. Yeah, no, I guess not. But no, I feel like that's one of the reasons why they stay away from our pond. But like Lauren, we have the pool, the kiddie pool, and then we also converted 5-gallon buckets. We've made cutouts in the 5-gallon buckets so they could get their entire heads in there and their entire and basically half of their body into there. Sometimes they jump in there, but it seems to work out really good for us for our setup.
Before you said as long as they can flush their nose out, or tell me again, what do they need to do? Why do they need water? Why do they need that dunk? I mean, I know they're water animals, but what does that do for them when they dunk like that? Or is that just their nature?
It's cleaning out their sinuses, so they don't have the ability, it's just the way that their nostrils and their eyes are set up, and the fact that they are, waterfowl. They need to be able to flush out their eyes and their nostrils. If they can't, it can cause issues with their eyes and cause issues with their nose, with their respiratory system. They can get dust and things like that in there. So they need to be able to clean out to keep them super healthy.
Okay, that's good. So not just a waterer, it needs to be a special duck water, or at least have access to water and then something they can dunk their heads in.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's a more open water is what I think of.
Okay, that makes sense. So we got water down. What about food? Like what kind of different food nutritional value do they need? Do I need to add anything? Right now I have about like 70 chickens. And so I really want to make it as easy as I can to bring them in to this flock. What do they need specifically?
So for us, for feed, ducks do need a little bit more protein. So I know that they have kind of a duck feed option at some, feed supply stores, or maybe your local feed store does have a duck option. Ours does not. And so we feed them like a 22% all flock layer pellet. And that seems to work well for them. And then we also supplement with snacks and the brewer's yeast and greens and peas, and they like all the things.
Yeah.
So but
ours also free range. They'll eat some scraps like the fruits and vegetables, but they'll also eat, like, if you catch them little lizards and things, they'll eat those too.
Oh, that's cool. So they're carnivores as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little feeder fish. I've seen people feed those.
Yeah.
Oh,
Put them in a kiddie pool. We've done that before.
Yeah.
My dogs are up those too.
They could share. Ours love mealworms. Like the chickens like the mealworms. The ducks go crazy for the mealworms. Like they know that bag, and they will, like, if they could, they would tear the bottom of that bag off as I'm giving it. They love those.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something they like a higher protein for sure than chickens. Like chickens are like excited about like seeds and things like that, and I feel like the ducks are more excited about the higher protein snacks.
Okay, so we talked about the water needs, we talked about the feed needs. Now I want to know about housing needs. So I have a lot of chickens. I have a mobile coop. Can I put my ducks in the coop with the chickens, or do you recommend separate housing? Can they all house together? What's your thoughts on that?
For my particular setup, there are people that do raise their waterfowl alongside their chickens. So we keep everybody separate. We have a duck coop and a chicken coop. Our ducks actually want nothing to do with the chickens, so it worked out on its own. But ducks have a little bit more of a mess, and I personally like having them separate so I can manage that just a little bit better.
Okay.
Ours are separate as well. I've had one duck that was raised with chicks and really thought that it was a chick, and would go in there sometimes at night, but would end up like getting pooped on.
Because they don't nest or they don't roost.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the Muscovy do, but I have the same experience as Jess, where my chickens and ducks, like, they're not interested in, even if they're both out free ranging, they're like in completely separate groups on separate sides of the yard. They're just, they're not one flock.
Do they just, on the ground? What?
Yep. All in a little huddle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, when it's cold in the summer, I'm sure they're spread out, but.
Yep. So that's something you want to think about when you're building your coop, is that most of your ducks are going to be ground dwellers. They're going to be ground nesters. They're going to be on the ground. So, when you're building your coop, I've seen coops where they've had the chickens and the ducks, but they've built like a tray for collecting like the chicken poop, and then the ducks lived underneath that, so they didn't run into what Lauren's ran into. But they're going to be on the ground. If your duck coops in general are just a lot more simpler than the chickens coops. They just want to be protected from predators and food and water. They're simple.
Ventilation is the same.
I feel like ducks need a little bit more ventilation, just because when they breathe, it is a little bit more wet. And their poop is a little bit more wet. And so like my duck house has kind of ventilation all around it, whereas my chicken coop just has some.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, and Jess, you kind of said this earlier, but I've always heard that ducks are like super messy and smelly. So I want to know if you guys, if there is more of a mess, and if you do have is it just a different smell? Because, I always feel like there might be reasons for smells. And so I wonder, is it a different smell, or is it just because they're messier? Or do you even have a smell?
They do have, I think everything has a smell. We've done turkeys. I felt like a turkey's had a smell. We've done quail. I feel like quail have a smell. The ducks definitely do have a smell. They are more wet and they make a mess. Their droppings, if they're drinking a lot of water, their droppings are a little bit more watery compared to the chickens. So yes, there is more of a mess with them, but we've learned throughout the years just how to manage it, just cleaning it more often, making sure that their feed has a tray that we collect the feed underneath, so there's no wet feed or anything like that. Making sure our waterers have like a little tray that they sit on. So we try to contain the mess as much as possible because we can't free range here. Lauren's going to have a little bit of a different setup. So I'm actually doing a little bit more cleaning, I think, because we have a run and they can't free range. They have supervised free range, but you just kind of have to work through your particular birds and the amount of mess they make, and you'll get into a really good routine with the duck.
Okay,
Lauren, how's the mess?
Yeah,
since yours free range, how is yours?
I feel like the biggest mess for me with ducks is when they're ducklings. So by the time they're like 3 weeks old in that brooder, the brooder is gross because they get the whole thing somehow wet.
Yeah.
Like within, I mean, you put the water in there and the whole thing is wet. And you can clean it every day and it will still like smell by the end of the day. And so I far prefer to have ducklings like in the summer when at 3 weeks old, they can just go outside.
Yeah.
They can just move on. But our ducks are in an open, so not covered, like 50 by 100 foot run. And so having like the 20 or so ducks in there, the mess is really manageable. And I feel like because their droppings are more watery, like they're also easier to kind of just rinse off of things. Like they're really like water soluble, like it rains and they're gone, and you rinse it off the back porch and it's gone and things like that.
Okay, so brooding. What about brooding differences between chickens and waterfowl? What is the main difference in that comparison?
For my experience, the ducks and waterfowl in general, the ducks and the geese, they grow significantly faster than the chickens do. As Lauren said, you like close your eyes and the brooder's wet, so you're cleaning it a little bit more. But on the flip side, they grow faster, so they're not inside. I feel like they're not inside as long. And if we have a really, really warm day, we can set the brooder outside and things like that. So remember though, is you don't want to brood waterfowl with chickens because they have different requirements, and that mess, that extra moisture, that extra bedding can actually be harmful for the chicks. Yeah, so you want to make sure that when you're raising them, you want to keep them separate.
Okay, that is good to know. Now, I'm going to say this in a way. I've had turkey before, and I had to put a chicken with the turkey because the turkey wasn't finding the water, or they weren't finding it properly. So are ducks any different, or geese any different than that?
I feel like they don't have any issues.
No, they're so smart. Like I've had, ducks and the geese are remarkably smart. I didn't have any problems. I've never had them have problems. They have no problems finding the waterer, especially when they first get them. They can definitely find that. And same with the feed. It's amazing to watch because you don't want to let your waterfowl go for a swim right away because they don't have their waterproofing yet. But after they get a little bit older, you can allow them to swim, for a few minutes at a time, and then kind of wipe them off, put them back in the brooder. But it's amazing to me that you can put that duckling or that gosling in the water and they instinctively know what to do. They just start swimming and splashing and diving, and I think that is just amazing.
The nature of it is so cool. Well, cool. Okay, so here's your final pitch for ducks and geese, any waterfowl. Give me a sentence or two to talk me into it, to say, this is what you need. Tell everybody else, this is why waterfowl is awesome. Go. I'm totally putting you on the spot, but it's okay. Tell me.
You want to go first, Jess, or you want me to go?
You can go.
Okay. So for me, the breeds that kind of we've chosen to keep lay really well. Like incredibly similar to chickens, and I actually prefer their eggs because they're a little bit more rich to chicken eggs. So that's actually one of my top waterfowl reasons.
Okay.
I also like how friendly they are. Like, I don't prefer when chickens eat out of your hand. I have some that will, and I just don't like it. But the ducks, like, I am incredibly comfortable with their little, their little beak in your hand doesn't bother me at all. And so that like friendliness kind of them of like, I don't know. I think they're cute when they waddle. So
yeah,
those are my like top 3.
Awesome. Let's see. If you're looking to raise poultry that is hardy, they are cold hardy, warm hardy, that are good layers that lay all season long. Your ducks are going to keep going, whereas your chickens are going to take a break. And have lots of personality. If you love personality,
yeah,
I definitely suggest waterfowl. I have learned over the last couple of years that waterfowl is my favorite. Like, I absolutely love them, and I'm with Lauren. Their eggs are amazing. I prefer them to my chicken eggs. And
okay, that was my next question. So do you like them better? Can you taste the difference? Because you have some people who are like, there's no difference at all. And then there's some people that are like,
there's difference. Yeah.
They bake with them because they're so rich. Do y'all feel that same way? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And like the whites are more like sticky or rich, and the yolks are big
and darker.
Yeah, they're so good compared to the chicken eggs. They're like, like all eggs, but ducks are my favorite.
Right.
Another like tidbit in there too that I don't feel like we talked about is ducks are relatively quiet.
Yeah.
Like in a backyard setting, if you were only having a few birds, there's a chance that like your neighbors would never know, because like males don't quack, only the females quack. Or like Muscovy are almost entirely silent. They just hiss.
Yeah. Yeah. The females.
No idea.
The females, you're gonna know you have a female because they have that more high pitched kind of sound. But the ducks have like, the males have a low raspy sound. And they are, like Lauren said, they're almost, I mean, you kind of like hear it, like you're like, oh, what's that noise? And you're like, oh, that's my male. But they are really quiet. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, unless they're hungry, like if their feeder's empty and you walk out with food, suddenly you're like, oh my gosh, they're so loud. But I mean, I feel like they're quieter than my chickens.
Yeah, absolutely. Lauren, do you have a favorite one? Do you have a favorite duck that is like your favorite,
like your friend,
duck?
Your pet?
Like your friend?
I've had a couple. Yes.
Yeah.
That's funny. One more question. Meat birds, meat ducks. Have either of you ever raised or had a dual purpose duck in your flock? With a homestead, I'm thinking that's probably where I would lean, is to do more of a dual purpose meat and eggs. What are your thoughts on meat birds or meat ducks, or have you ever had any?
Or just to see what it would be like, and we liked it. It was a good experience. I'm not sure. Duck meat is not my favorite compared to chicken. It's funny, I like their eggs, but I'm not as big into their meat as chicken. But it was a really good experience. They were hardy. They weren't like raising, meat chickens where you kind of have to watch them a little bit more. It was a really good experience for us. We had like 6 of them, I think, and it was good.
What about you, Lauren?
Our silver appleyards are dual purpose, but we haven't actually butchered any of them, maybe at some point. And I haven't done the jumbo pekin or anything either, but I know that some people do either the jumbo pekin or like the Muscovies, and the Muscovies have a little bit of a different meat too, which is a nice option, and they're really big, or at least the males are pretty large.
Oh, that's interesting to hear, because I do think that if we were to do something on our homestead, my husband and I have discussed hatching out some jumbo pekin, because if we get a straight run, we're okay with it, and it's there for meat purposes as well. So that might be how I talk him into it, because the chicken math is real, y'all, and he's like, no, we don't need anything else on this farm. We have plenty. And so maybe if I throw it that way, that I can get some hatching eggs and throw some duck meat in there. So anyway, I just love it how they're so diverse. You know, you can have them for a lot of different reasons with the weeding, with the geese, bugs. It's just, I think there's a wide range that the waterfowl cover, and so I think that's pretty neat. Well, now we just have to see if we can get all of this in the farm. So anyway, well, cool. Okay, so thank you for watching our duck discussions. Jess, thanks for letting me take over your chicken chat. And be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and make sure you check that bell so you know every time that a new video is available. See you later, guys.
Bye.
Hi.